Welcome back to How to Forgive Yourself and Others. We're going to move on to our second session. Session number 1 was the shocking revelation that the major reason we are to forgive people who hurt us is because if we don't, it will hurt us. And God will deliver us to the tortures until we do forgive. And now we're going to deal with the 5 requirements for lasting forgiveness. Is it really possible to forgive somebody one time and you never have to forgive them again? Unless they wound you again, of course. Well, I want to tell you a tragic story about this. Years ago, our family, Darlene and myself, and our 2 older children would fly out from where we lived in the southern part of America out to the Rocky Mountains, which are very high mountains, to go skiing in the snow. We did that because some of our good friends, Dennis and Barbara Rainey from Family Life Ministries, had a conference every year over Thanksgiving in November, that weekend, for all singles. And they said, would you like to come be the speakers of this? And we'll pay for your flights, give you skis you can rent for the day, and would you please minister over the weekend to the singles? Well, I enjoy a great deal being with singles, and our family loved to ski back then. And we did this year after year and became friends with hundreds of singles. And one year, I flew back up there with our family, and Dennis, the leader, was standing there as soon as I got into the building with kind of a white face. It was stressed. And that wasn't like him. I said, Dennis, what's the matter? He said, oh, we have a member on our staff of Campus Crusade that has a trauma that we've been trying to help for weeks, and I think we're going to lose her. I think you could help her. Would you? I said, Dennis, of course I will. Let me unpack and come on back down. Well, the girl was a single girl, and she was sitting in the corner next to a fireplace with another chair next to her. And I had seen her in the years before, and I sat down next to her, and I said, I understand there's some trouble. What's the matter? I was raped. You were raped. I'm sorry. Tell me what happened. She said it was in the middle of the day, on Saturday, at 2 o'clock. I went to a big grocery store and parked my car in the next open slot, which was a ways away from the store. And when I got out of the car on Saturday afternoon, another car that was right over there waiting, I guess, pulled up right next to me, and 4 young men got out. They docked me to the ground in the parking lot. And one person raped me, then another person raped me, then the 3rd person raped me, and then the 4th person raped me in the parking lot. And no one stopped it. We talked for a little bit. And I said to her, you have 2 choices. You can decide nobody will ever want you for the rest of your life, that you're broken. And you'll have sex with any man who ever wants you for anything. Have you thought about that? No man will ever want me. I said to her, was this your fault? Oh, I guess it was. It was your fault. What did you do wrong? Maybe my blouse was too short. I said, well, how short was it? No, it was like this one. I said, there's nothing the matter with your blouse. You had nothing to do with this. This was some major sin, major violence, terrible thing that was done to you, and you are innocent. I'm innocent. You're innocent. Every lie you're hearing in your head that it was your fault is not from God and is not true. Tell me, I am innocent. Starts crying. Say the sentence. I am innocent. I am innocent. This wasn't my fault. This wasn't my fault. This is a terrible sin because the people were terrible. They did this to me. They did this to me. I said, that's right. I said, the second thing is you could decide that you hate all men from now on, that they're dirty animals, that all they want is sex and use women, and you'll become frigid, and you'll never have sex with anybody, and you'll hate men the rest of your life. Have you thought of that? I guess your life is ended, isn't it? No, it's not ended. Unless you end it. Because there's a third step. There's a third step? There's a third way? Yes. What is that? I said, well, you can decide to be a virgin from today. What? Yes, you can be a virgin from today. Because you didn't have sex today. You were raped today. This wasn't your choice. Let me ask you a hard question. Were you a virgin before this? Yes. I had decided when I was a young girl that I'd keep myself until I met the man I married, and not till we got married that I would go to bed with anybody. I thought that was true about you. From today, you can be a virgin. What do you mean? You could choose to protect yourself and say no to anybody that asks you to have sex with them, all the way until you meet the man who falls in love with you and you with him. Somewhere along that line, you're going to have to tell him what happened. But when he hears of how that happened, that you were a virgin before that, and since that day till today, you've kept yourself for that man, that won't be an issue to him. And I said to her, will you choose to be a virgin starting today? Sobbing, 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 sobbing. I thought I could never do that. You can. Will you? Yes. I said, good. Let's go back to those 4 men. I want you to do something that only God can help you do. I want you to forgive each one at a time. Tell me what the first one looked like. And we went through one man at a time and what they did and what they said and how they hit her, and she forgave each one of them. I watched her soul heal miraculously in front of my eyes. I said, how are you now? I don't know, but I'm fine. Yes. Can I have a hug from you? I want you to break away from fear of men, and I'm a man. Can you just turn sideways? I don't want a big embrace. I just want a little hug from you. I want you to hug me. Can you do that? It's crying. I can hug you and it's not hard. I said, all right, you're free. Oh, the power of forgiveness. No matter what has happened to you, no matter how terrible it is, you can choose to forgive, and your heart will heal. And later on, I'll tell you what happened to those 4 men, because you have no idea what happened to them. And you have no idea what happened to her. I'll tell you that later as well. But let's take a look now at the biblical requirements for lasting forgiveness. For lasting forgiveness. We're going to go right through that same passage that Christ gave to us in Matthew 18, and we're going to look at requirements that he gives to us, 5 of them, that if you do this, you will only have to forgive a person once. Requirement 1. Look at the verse beneath it. It says, so my heavenly Father also will do to each of you if each of you from his heart. That's it. Requirement 1. Open your heart to prepare to forgive. When the person has wounded our hearts, what have we done to that heart regarding that person? We put up walls. And we close our heart so that we don't have to deal with that person or deal with the wound that's still infected. Therefore, when you choose to forgive a person, you must open your heart to forgive. This that I put next to the word does not forgive in the verse, I actually gave you some Greek information that may be a little bit over the top, but I wanted you to understand what Jesus literally says when he says, from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses. Forgive is in the aorist active subjunctive. What does that mean? Active means I do it. I choose to forgive. The aorist means, look up here, it means a point in time. It doesn't mean points of time, and it doesn't mean over and over and over again all the time. It means once. And God is saying, you have to open your heart right then to forgive. And it's a subjunctive. Subjunctive means this. It's potential. You may or may not choose to open your heart and forgive. It's up to you. And it is up to you. Point number 1.1. Anyone can open their heart anytime they choose. Maybe you are in your office. I remember when this happened to me years ago. I was in my office, and some of my people that I worked with me, we were telling a joke. And we were laughing and having a great time. And the secretary came right into the meeting, burst in the door, sobbing, saying, my daughter was in a terrible car accident, and they don't know if she's going to live. What happened to all of our laughter? It immediately changed. What happened to our heart? It opened instantly to her. We gathered around her. We loved on her. We prayed for her. We changed everything during the day. Some of us went to the hospital with her. Why? You can change your heart anytime you want. You can open your heart anytime you want. Don't ever say, I can't open my heart. Of course you can open your heart. Whether you choose to open your heart, it's up to you. If you do not open your heart, you cannot forgive. Because that's where the wound is in your heart. Point number 2. Look at the verse beneath it. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion. Underline that. Moved with compassion. Released him and forgave him the debt. Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, just as I had pity on you? What's that theme all about? Compassion. What's requirement 2? Extend compassion to the person you need to forgive. This is inside of your heart. And compassion can come out of your heart in one of 2 ways. Point number 2.1, compassion can be raised by the other person. That is, on the first part of that story, the king was moved with compassion. That was a passive verb. It happens to you. For instance, when my friends and I were in the office, and the girl comes in, the woman comes in with this great trauma, she moved us. I didn't move myself. Just like the king, when the man knelt down and begged for forgiveness, he was moved, passive. It happened to him. The person here did it to you. That's the easiest way to forgive. If a person comes in and starts weeping in front of you and begs you to forgive, oh my, much easier to forgive. But Jesus says, no, it doesn't always happen that way. In fact, most of the time it doesn't. You have to do the person who chooses to grant compassion. That's the second part, 2.2, where it says, compassion can be raised by your own choice. By your own choice. Should you not have had compassion, active verb, you make it happen. Now, how do you show compassion? How do you grant it? Your heart is open, and you're going to deal with a person. Person's right here. Because this person hurt me or hurt you, I don't have compassion to that person. I have unforgiveness to them. And my heart is closed. Because I've chosen to forgive the person, I have to open my heart. Okay, it's open. But now I have to give them something I don't want to give them. I have to give them my compassion. I got to give them sympathy. Why? Because you can. How do you do that? How do you give some person compassion and sympathy when they've hurt you? You come over here and you sit in their chair. You don't know what happened that morning to that person. You don't know if her husband just told her that he had an affair with her best friend. And she did that to you from the wound that happened that morning at breakfast. You don't know if he has cancer or she has cancer and the doctor has them on medicine which makes their emotions go crazy. You don't know if he just got a letter in the mail that the bank was taking back their house because they can't make the payments and they're going to be living on the street. You don't know, do you? And so when we close our heart, we take for granted that nothing bad has happened to them, when that many things may have happened terrible to them. I was in a meeting once around the table, and the leader was talking to all of us, and there was one man who just was sullen and quiet and down and was bringing the meeting down. And he said to the man, what's the matter with you? Oh, nothing. No, there's something the matter. What's the matter? I found out 2 hours ago from my doctor I have leukemia and I have 2 years before I die. Compassion granted. You can choose to say, I don't know what happened to you. I don't know why you acted that way to me. I don't know what was behind going on, and I'm going to grant you compassion anyway. You're another human being just like me. And I grant you compassion. It's okay. You did this. I accept the fact that you did this to me. What happens to your heart when you begin to extend compassion? It softens. Instead of it's that person, it's the person you identify with. Maybe you said something that that person's father used to say before he beat her. And you just said an innocent sentence. But when you said it, it brought all those emotions back. It's like somebody who hit you on the arm and you didn't know there was an infected part of the arm, and the person overreacts at you and you're thinking, what on earth did I say, for Pete's sakes? You don't know what happened. Can you become a compassionate person to the person who hurt you? Good. Point number 3 is a surprising one. Look at the verse. Matthew 18:27 says, then the master of that servant was moved with compassion. Wait. Look up here. First part. He was moved with compassion. Don't skip that step. You open your heart, then you consciously think of that person and you give them compassion. I give it to you. You don't deserve it. I give it. It's a gift. After you give compassion, then you, what does it say? Release him. You release the person and forgave him the debt. Therefore, required number 3 is release the person from your heart prison. From your heart prison. Where is this person needing to be released from? That person right there isn't in jail. Oh, yeah, they are. Where is the jail? Inside of you. Behind what? Bars. Yeah. And you threw away the key. You may have even said, I will never forgive that person to the day I die. You took the key and you threw it out the window. You'll never get free out of this prison. Over my dead body. That's right. You know what this passage is teaching us is something that's very, very important that hardly anybody recognizes. There's 2 halves to this, not one. I have to release the person out of my heart prison first. Open the door. Whoa, let them out. And then I have to forgive them. We think that's the same. It's not. So what is Jesus revealing is this secret that we're dealing about right here. He is revealing that you have a person, and then you have the thing that he did or she did that wounded you. It's not this. Okay. It's this. You may be an awfully nice person here. And this could have been very much out of character of what you did. But if you make this the same, then you make the person bad. The person isn't bad. Well, they may be a little bit, but they're not bad. It's what they did to you that wounded you. Then why'd you throw them away? Why did you put them in the prison rather than this thing here? It's something you did. That's not you. It's what you did. It's not you. It's what you did to me. Oh. Some of you have so many people in prison that you've built a second and a third prison inside of your heart. And you have a whole bunch of guards on the outside protecting. This is my prison. How many put some people in prison? Yeah, come on. So, point number 3.1, the person must be separated from the trespass they committed. 3.2, the person is locked in your heart prison until you release them. Here's the part that's very helpful here. You can forgive a person for what they did and keep them locked in prison.
Okay. All right.
This is a person. This is not the person. This is an action that the person did. When you make it like this, you don't separate the two, and you make this person become the wound. Rather than, no, this is normally a wonderful person, or the person loves me, or whatever, but they did this. Isn't it interesting that Jesus doesn't say, forgive the trespass first, and then release the person?
Okay.
Jesus makes us deal with the person first. So you have compassion not on what they did to you, you have compassion on the person. This is a person.
Yes.
And now I have to open up this door and let this person out. I took a look at that word release. When Jesus said release the person from your inner prison, I went and I studied that word release to know what exactly it means. You remember when Barabbas was there and they were deciding to let Barabbas free or Jesus free? And they said, set free Barabbas. That's the same word. Let him out of prison. And when the disciples and the apostles were in prison and the angel came down and set them free, it's the same Greek word. This is really true. You have to release the person and let them out. Whoa, you release him. So what happens to a person who doesn't release the person? And every time you see the person, they're still inside the prison. And you're afraid of them, and you have heart walls here, and you don't like them because you've kept them in prison. When children release their parents, when adult children let their parents that hurt them various ways growing up out of their heart prison, the entire relationship with their parents changes. And the adult parent, like you and me, will oftentimes weep over this because they've kept their parents way out here, built a big wall, won't let them get close. This happens. There's no doubt that they wounded you. We're not arguing that. But I want you to think about that keychain right here. Take out the keychain. Look inside that. Unlock it. We're going to help you do that after break. You're going to let people out. You cannot imagine the weight you carry with all those people inside of you. And the people on the outside who love you anyway, they still love you and they can't get close to you no matter what they try. And they go away so disappointed and discouraged, and they say to their spouse or their friend or your mother or your father, you know, no matter what I do to my child, they don't let me in. You know why they don't let them in? They have locked them inside. You have some people you need to release.